students. Today we will discuss about individual drive and group drive. This class is important for fifth sem electrical students, and we will discuss about individual drive, group drive, as well as we will also discuss their advantages with some disadvantages, because some disadvantages in individual drive are the advantages of the disadvantages of the group drive. So let us discuss it. So there are large number of machines to be driven in any industries, right? Because in the industries they have a numerous of application, and all of those things requires electric motors. Now in individual drive, each machine and tool is driven by a separate motor, although in this type the initial cost is increased. It is quite obvious, students, because if we will if we will use a single motor to run a single machine, then the cost will be definitely be higher. So in a group drive, a single motor of large capacity is used to drive a machine and tools in industries, a number of machines. So here we can make it economical by using a single machine of having higher capacity to run for a large number of machines. So we are discussing this individual and group drive because many students have the doubts about this individual and group drive. So let us discuss its advantages also. So the important advantages of group drives are its initial cost. Due to initial cost of group drive is less as compared to that of the individual drive, this will be in its advantages. So, students, the initial cost of group drive is comparatively less as compared to your individual drive. So, definitely this will be economical and will be a smarter choice to use group drive. The second advantages is your sequence of operation. So the sequence of operation is group drive system is useful because all operation are stopped simultaneously. See, in a group drive system, if for any reason the main motor or the motor whose capacity is higher is interrupted due to any reason, it may be due to power failure or it may be due to your maintenance issues, right? So if it is having any kind of problem and it has been under shutdown, then the motors associated with this single motor will be affected and will be have to be shut down. The third advantage is space requirement. So it is quite obvious that the space required for group drive will be necessarily low. Why? Because this single machine is running the number of other machines. So here this less space is required in group drive as compared to the individual drive. Now the maintenance cost. So this is also a advantages over the individual drive. So it requires less maintenance as compared to the individual drive. So students, comparing to a system only, we can say that its maintenance is less or higher. So here if we compare with the individual drive, then we find out that the maintenance of your group drive is low as compared to your individual drive. So these are the advantages, some of the advantages, because apart from these advantages there are other advantages also, but these are the few advantages which are very important, which should be considered while selecting a motors also. Now the disadvantages of group drive. So every system has some its advantages as well as its disadvantages. So this system is also having some disadvantages. So, so as we already have just, read that the initial cost of group drive is less, but this system is used extensively. They are not used extensively because of the following disadvantage. So, what are the disadvantages? See, the power factor associated with these motors and the higher rating motors will be lower. The second disadvantages is the efficiency. Efficiency of group drive system used when all the machines are not working together, the main motor shall work at very much reduced load. Now, students, in this second point, that is your efficiency, if suppose a single motor of higher capacity is used to make run 10 different types of motors for any applications, it may be anything. We are not keen to know what kind of operation is going on. We will be only keen about the motors only, the electrical part. So now, out of these 10 machines, suppose for an event or an occasion, we require less number of motors. Say suppose the demand has gone lower, so we do not require 10 motors to run simultaneously, rather we require lesser number of motors. So for the instance, let us assume that we have used only 3 motors. So out of the 10, we are requiring now 3 motors. So rest 7 are in off position, or they are not operating now. So the motor was designed to run the 10 motors, and accordingly the efficiency which has to be calculated considering the 10 motors would be higher. If we will now consider 3 motors which are operated by the use of a single high rating motor, then the efficiency which will be taken out will naturally will be lower. So due to this reason, the efficiency will be lower and it will fall under the category of disadvantages of group drive. Now the reliability. In group drive, if the main motor fails, whole industry will come to stand still. So now the whole industry will come to stand still in a broader sense. Let us understand. Suppose the industry is connected with a single motor and is used to run a 20 or 100 motors by using a single heavy rating motor. For example, it is not practically possible, but we are considering, suppose a single high rating motor is used to drive 100 number of motors. Now, if due to any reason this high rating motor is brought to shutdown, or it has been shut down due to any reason, then what will happen? By default, the other 100 motors which are connected with it will be in shutdown. So the whole industry will be affected. So here we have considered that if the industry is run by majority of the motors by group drive, then what will happen if the main motor is under breakdown? Then the industry will be under breakdown too, right? So this reliability factor also decreases. Now flexibility. Such arrangement is not possible in group drive. This is due to the arrangement is not suitable for the places where flexibility is the prime factor. So students, already suppose a single high rating motor is connected to 10 other motors for any desired operation. So their connection and their positioning and also their space requirement and every all respects would have been considered, and then only those motors have been installed in a particular area. Now if I have to shift any one of the motor, I just cannot, or if I also wish to transfer the whole unit also, it is not possible, because for a single high rating motor, it has been coupled or it has been connected to number of other motors. So if I will shift a single motor, then it is quite impossible, right? So flexibility is also not there in case of your group drive. Now the other factor is speed. Group drive does not provide constant speed. It is quite obvious, because since it has been connected to a number of other motors, the main shaft or the load shaft, the output from where the load has to be taken, or the shaft which is the output side will have a variation in speed. So this is undesirable. And if we will compare with a individual drive, such kind of peculiarities are not found in a individual drive. You may find your unequal speed, or which are not constant speed in group drive, but in individual drive you will find constant speeds. Now, the last disadvantages which we will discuss, of course there are several other disadvantages also, but the last disadvantages which we will discuss is types of machine. So group drive is not suitable for heavy machines such as cranes, lift, hoist, etc. So students, I think you might be aware of hoist, crane and lifts. What kind of loads do they carry? So I mean to say that the loads associated with cranes, lifts, hoist are perhaps very large. So due to these very large loads or high loads, this group drive will not work effectively. Because see, if these three cranes, lift and hoist are connected to a drive, and apart from these three, another three loads might be also be there, so they are not as high as your lift, crane and hoist. So there will be a difference in load. So due to this, speed variation will be very much frequent. As a result, the operation will be hampered. As a result, this system will be frequently maintained, or the maintenance will be frequently performed. So in this type of machine, it is also not suitable for having high or heavy loads. Now, advantages of individual drive. So what are the advantages of the individual drive? Let us discuss. Individual drive give desired operation, as each machine is driven by its own individual motor. The other advantages of individual drive is individual motor works as a good power factor. See, as the number of motors in the load side is reduced, that means it is not a group drive anymore now. Now we are discussing about the individual drive. Here, the power factor associated can be controlled and will be good also. So this is the advantages of individual drive. The other advantages are efficiency of the system will be higher. Suppose I had to work with a specific operation with a motor, then I will run this individual drive and it will perform. So the efficiency side, it will have a good efficiency. I cannot say it will have the better efficiency, but definitely it will have a better efficiency. Individual drive is more reliable. Now, this reliability is due to the factor that we are aware of the load side. We are also aware that the kind of operation performed by this motor can withstand the drive motor or the individual drive. So the reliability will be higher. Machine may be fitted whenever or wherever convenient. That means its portability will be higher. Suppose I have to shift this motor, I can shift it easily, because we have to only shift the motor and the other operating part. So it will be quite easier as compared to the group drive. So flexibility is higher in this case of individual drive. Now, more useful where constant speed is required. Now, in industries, the not all over, but the maximum use is for constant speed operation. So, we require constant speed in almost, not 100% we require your constant speed. We also require variable speed also, but mostly the applications are your constant speed. So by using individual drive, we can attain constant speed requirements. So this is useful for us. The individual drive is most suitable for driving heavy vehicles such as hoist, lift and crane, etc. Now students, the group drive which was not suitable for running or performing operation like lift, hoist and crane, but we find that this same operation is suitable by using individual drive. Why? Because the individual drive, the motor which has been selected would have been carefully selected due to its load side, because we already are aware of the load, what kind of load will be there, what will be the duration of operation, and everything will be clearly considered, then only the motor would have been selected. So in this way, this individual drive is the most suitable for driving heavy machines such as your cranes and lifts. Now selection of motor. Now, student, selection of motor is also very vital. Why? The selection of the motor is based upon the condition under which the motor is supposed to work. It is very important for a electrical engineer to consider the situation and environment before selecting a motor. So you should be aware while selecting the motor, considering its environment, also its requirement and its operation. So the other type, the second type is the type of load the motor is supposed to be handled. Suppose the motor load is not so very high, what will happen? We have to select motor accordingly. Now if the load is higher, we have to take a suitable motor which can withstand these higher loads. So accordingly, factors which are considered for selecting a motor for a particular service are as under. So what are the factors? Let us check them. Electrical characteristics, mechanical characteristics, size and rating of motor, cost. So these are the characteristics which we have to consider while selecting a motor. So under your electrical characteristics, you have running characteristics, starting characteristics, speed control, braking characteristics. So we have to consider running, starting, speed control, braking characteristics before selecting a motor. Similarly, in mechanical characteristics, what are the things we have to consider? Type of enclosure, type of bearings, transmission of drives, noise level. Now, as your size and rating of motor is concerned, the parameters which will be considered are rating of motor, whether the motor is to be used continuously, intermittently, or for variable loads. We have to consider its size and rating of the motor. Now cost, this is a very important part, because many of the times we do not consider the cost part. It has to be considered very very you have to consider the cost part very much carefully, right? So suppose I have to use a motor whose cost is very high as compared to the production rate or the output or the profitability area, then such kind of high rating motors is undesirable. So there are other factors also while deciding the cost factor. So here we will discuss about the capital cost and the running cost. So this cost should also be considered while selecting a particular motor. Now loss, power factor, maintenance, depreciation, etc. It can be seen that the choice of an electric motor for a given drive includes a large number of factors, and although it in any particular case some of these may be definitely fixed. Running characteristics, operating characteristics of a various type of loads are different. Many machines require constant speed irrespective of the characteristics, and some require a variable speed control. Therefore, it is desired to know about the operating or running characteristics of various types of motors. The electrical behavior of a motor when running under normal load condition can be explained by considering the following factors. So, what are the factors? Speed, torque, characteristics, speed, current, characteristics, load, current, characteristics, loss and efficiency, magnetizing current, and power factor at various load in case of AC motors only. Because DC motors, the power factor part is not a, I mean, the power factor do not play any role. So now we will discuss about DC motors. In DC motors, torque is given by the equation T is equal to phi Z into P into Ia divided by 2 pi into A. Now I think this formula is already in, already you have learned this equation from your previous semesters. This formula, this is T is equal to phi Z P into Ia divided by 2 pi n. Now uh, yes, now where T is proportional to phi into Ia, because 2 pi Z P into A are constant. For a machine, this 2 pi Z P and A are constant, therefore T is only proportional to the product of flux and its armature current. Now T is proportional to the square of the armature current in case of series motor. Why it is so? Because due to its connection, phi is directly proportional to Ia in that case. So therefore n is equal to E by phi Z into 60A by P, which will give you, or how this equation has arrived, it is due to E is equal to phi Z n P divided by 60A. This is the formula, right? Now n is equal to V minus IARA divided by phi Z into 60 by A. V is equal to supply voltage, IA is the armature current, RA is the resistance of armature. Therefore, N is proportional to V minus IARA divided by phi. All other quantities being constant. So now we will discuss about the DC shunt motor. So students, as we all know that a shunt motor, the field is connected across the armature, or it is connected in parallel with the armature. Now the speed current characteristics, from the speed expression we have the formula or the equation n is equal to V minus IARA divided by phi. This equation, I think all of you might be very much clear, because in your earlier semester you have already read about the DC motor. So n is equal to V minus IARA divided by phi. Now it is clear that the speed is directly proportional to the back EMF EB and inversely proportional to the flux. But in the case if the applied voltage V is kept constant, the flux phi will be also constant. Now when load on the motor is increased, the current in armature increases, thus increasing the voltage drop in armature and hence decreasing the speed of the motor. As the drop in armature at full load is very small as compared to applied voltage V, therefore drop in speed from no load to full load is again very small, and the motor can be used as compared to a constant speed motor, which has been shown in the figure 2.1. So students, this is the figure which shows a graph between your armature current and your speed, right? So next we will read about torque current characteristics. From the expression for torque, T is proportional to phi into Ia. and Ia is equal to K into Ia. In case of shunt motor, it is observed that the torque varies directly as the load current. Hence, the load current or the curve follows a linear law as shown in the figure 2.2. So from the figure it is clear that it obeys a linear law, as the graph shows a linearly the graph shows a linear line, right? Now, speed torque characteristics in a DC shunt motor, when the supply voltage V is constant, the field flux phi is also constant, and hence the speed of such motors depends upon armature current. The speed decreases with the increase in armature current. So now the speed decreases with the increase in the armature current, but torque also increases with the increase in current. If the current is increased, then torque will be increased, but if the speed is decreased, then with the increase in armature current. Hence the torque speed characteristics of a DC shunt motor will be a straight line with a slope with a slight droop as shown in the figure. So this is the diagram 2.3, which shows a slight drooping characteristics which has been plotted against torque versus speed. Performance curve. Now students, the curve for efficiency, speed, torque and the current plotted against bhp of a motor are called performance curve. The performance curve of a for a shunt motor is as in the diagram. From the speed bhp curve, it is seen that the motor has definite speed and at no load, and hence it cannot run away when the load is suddenly thrown off. Also, there is a slight fall in speed from no load to full load, and hence the motor can be used when a substantial constant speed is required. It is noted from the BHP efficiency curve that the efficiency of the motor shunt motor increases rapidly in the beginning and reaches its maximum value and then falls nearly at full load. So in this performance curve, you can check this diagram. This is the performance curve. This shows the relationship or it shows you the efficiency graph. It also shows you the torque, armature current and the speed. Now, the efficiency of a shunt motor is maximum when the variable loss are equal to the constant loss. So it is very important, students, whenever the efficiency of a shunt motor is maximum, what will be the case or what will be the condition? The variable loss should be equal to the constant losses. The curve for the armature current, the BHP shows that even at zero output, a certain value of current is required to meet the losses occurring in the motor. Now, DC series motor. Now, in a DC series motor, in this motor, the field winding is connected in series with the armature winding. It means as the load on the motor increases, the current through the series winding also increases. Or in other words, the flux varies according to the load of the motor. So the flux phi first increases with the increase in load and then becomes maximum at saturation point and finally becomes constant as in the figure 2.5. So now students, as we can see in the diagram 2.5, this is the diagram, the magnetizing curve. It is between the current and your flux. Now suppose we will increase the flux, what will happen? If you will increase the current, the flux will be increased. Now further increase in current will lead to further increase in flux. Now these things will not continue because a saturation point will be achieved, and after that it will not increase as it was increasing earlier. So it will have a final value which is this one. This is the saturating point. So here the graph will stop. So students, for today's class let us stop here. We will continue in our next class. So thank you for watching.